Welcome to Gluten-Free Kitchen Cafe. No gluten, no rice, no wheat, no corn, no grain. Let's cook. If you've ever been to Disneyland California Adventure and had the pleasure of eating at Lamplight Lounge, here's my copycat recipe for their potato skins. This recipe is 100% gluten-free. It is not a low-calorie food, but it is worth every bite.
Screen-o-matic.
So this recipe has a few steps. So we're going to focus on the first part, which is the potatoes. So you're also going to need a pot to boil some potatoes in, along with a lid and a strainer. Walt approves of this recipe. So what's going to go in the water are these chopped shallots. You don't need to chop them fancy because we're not going to keep them. They're just to flavor the water and the potatoes. Fill your pot with 8 cups of cold water and add all of your ingredients and bring the potatoes to a boil. Cook them until fork tender and then strain. Next, we are going to mix in a bowl some cayenne and paprika. You're also going to need 2 cookie sheets, some parchment paper, 2 to 4 tablespoons of tapioca starch, and some spray oil. I just use regular Pam. So in your bowl of paprika and cayenne, you're going to add your tapioca starch and give it a good stir. Make sure it's thoroughly mixed. If you don't like tapioca starch, you can use potato starch. Grab your strained potatoes. Don't worry if there's excess of shallots or anything else on the potatoes. That's not going to matter. Put them on your cookie sheets lined with parchment paper. Be very careful, they should still be really hot. Cover the potatoes with parchment paper and another cookie sheet and just smash them all down until they're flattened round discs. This is what you want them to look like. They are not beautiful, but they are lovely. Give them a good spray with the Pam, and then you're going to want to flip them over and spray the other side. Now, just gingerly sprinkle on your tapioca or your starch, paprika, cayenne mix. It doesn't need to be totally fancy. What we're going to be achieving here is just a little crisp when we fry them. So just grab a spoon and just kind of smush around the tapioca starch powder. You don't have to worry about covering the potatoes entirely. That's not going to matter. So now we're just going to flip them over and give the other side another spray. And then we're just going to do the same thing with the tapioca starch paprika mix powder. You don't need to use a lot of pan. We're just trying to achieve the ability of the powder to just stick to the potatoes. Since we're here, if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. Okay, we've got everything nicely coated. Now we are going to cover this with some parchment paper and put your potatoes in the freezer for 1 to 2 hours. A quick word about my Patreon. There's only one tier. Everyone gets all the recipes, tips, tricks, and access to all giveaways and contests. It's only $5 a month. The link will be in the description below. Thank you. Now get your potatoes out of the freezer, and we're going to go to the stove and we're going to start frying. Bring your oil to 350 degrees. You're going to want to use a small bottle of oil. I used peanut oil, which is what I also fry my beignets in, which is a little hint of what's going to be happening in February. Now fry your potatoes for 4 minutes on each side, and then place them on a plate with paper towels to drain the oil. If you feel like they're not crispy enough, just fry them 1 to 2 minutes at a time more and check. It's really important that you don't crowd your potatoes in the oil. So when I fry my potatoes or whatever I'm frying, I will use my spatula and then I just use some chopsticks. It just makes it a little bit easier. After each batch is completed, put them on a paper towel plate. That way we can drain some of the oil off. Now that your potatoes are done frying, put some oil in a pan for frying. I'm using peanut oil again, and 1/4 cup of capers. It's really handy to have a digital thermometer. You're going to bring your oil up to 350 degrees. Once you've reached your temperature of 350 degrees, you're going to fry your capers for 5 minutes on medium-high temperature. We want these to be nice and crispy. Give them a stir every once in a while just to make sure that they don't stick to the pot. Even though I am using a non-stick pot, it's better to be safe than sorry. Next, carefully spoon your fried capers out of the pan onto another plate with paper towel. We want to drain off as much oil as we can. Now it's time to make our caper sauce. So make sure you've gathered all of your measured ingredients before you begin, because it just makes it easier. Before I add my capers and butter, I mix them together. I want to make sure that the butter doesn't solidify in the yogurt. So next, add your lemon juice to the caper and butters. Mix it slowly so that your butter doesn't cool too much and stays liquefied. Now you can add your butter and caper and lemon juice mix to the yogurt. Mix it really well before you add your salt and pepper. Now, you can add your salt and pepper immediately all at once, but taste your food first. See how it tastes to you. If you feel like it doesn't need any spices, then don't add anything. I didn't add everything. I added just a pinch of each. I've made this recipe many times before, so you don't want this sauce to be overly salty. Next, we're making our smoked paprika aioli. Here's your ingredients. If you prefer not to use mayonnaise, you can just use Greek yogurt in the same amount. So first, chop your chives. You don't need that whole bunch. You just need enough for a few teaspoons, or more if you prefer. Next, we're going to mix our ingredients for our aioli. So first, I'm going to add the mayonnaise. And then I'm adding the garlic and the paprika. Now add the rest of your ingredients to your sauce. Give it a real good stir and make sure you taste it. If you think it tastes great, it's ready. If you think it needs anything else, add a little bit more. Now it's time to get our last batch of ingredients together. Grab a small handful of cilantro and carefully chop it into fine micro pieces. If you're someone that cannot stand cilantro, and I know some of you are out there who think it tastes like soap, just chop more chives or maybe use some scallions. Now it's time to get out 2 dinner-sized plates. Get your potatoes ready. First, we're going to add the smoked paprika aioli sauce. I mean, don't be shy with this sauce. It's so good. Next, we're going to add the yogurt caper sauce. Now, I'll be honest. Yes, this recipe is heavy on capers. I don't think I've ever eaten so many capers in my life. And this is a weird recipe, but everything complements each other. The flavors are great. So now we're going to be fancy and we're going to stack a couple of potatoes on each plate and pretend like we're not going to go for seconds, that this is just going to be enough, and we're not going to go completely ham on this. We're just going to keep that little secret to ourselves. See how pretty that looks? Just like in a restaurant. So next we're going to take our shredded Parmesan cheese and we're going to sprinkle it over the potatoes. Don't be shy. Don't be shy. Add more cheese. There's always room for more cheese. Next, we're going to take more capers. Can you believe it? More capers. That's right. And next, we're going to take our micro cilantro and just dress the other side of the plate. And last, we're going to take our chopped chives and sprinkle them over the top of the potatoes just for a little last final touch. One thing I forgot to mention is that this, if you like hot sauce, especially if you like Louisiana hot sauce, Tabasco or anything like that goes great with this dish. And there you have it, Lamplight Lounge potatoes. Thanks for watching.